My brother's fiancée betrayed him on their wedding day, so he walked away without a word and left her screaming in front of everyone. We are 34, 32, and 28, while Exil is 30 and not in the US. I have two older brothers, and this story is about the middle one. Our parents divorced when I was very young because of our mother's extreme jealousy. At first, my dad managed it, but when she began making disturbing comments about me wanting to be like his wife, he had enough. She quickly moved on with a man who had two kids, and they shared custody for a while. But when my dad remarried, she lost control, calling his new wife every vile name and accusing him of cheating while they were still married. I was always closer to my dad and brothers than my mom because she was consistently cruel to me. Long story short, my stepmom tragically died in a car accident. My dad called my mom in the middle of the night to let her know he'd pick us up earlier so we could attend the funeral. Instead, she decided to take us on a fun trip to celebrate something. It was the happiest we had ever seen her, until we realized what had happened. When we started crying, she told us only worthless people cry for whores. Needless to say, things exploded. My dad immediately asked for full custody, leaving her visitation rights. He always kept communication open, and even paid for us to visit her after she moved away, but things were still awful. Once we turned 18, we began limiting contact with her. The last time we saw her was at my high school graduation, where she loudly told anyone who would listen that we were ungrateful kids. Her husband would insult us too. We've been no contact ever since. My brother Sam started dating his ex 3 years ago. She knew all the stories and understood why we went no contact, but she thought we were being dramatic. Their relationship had many issues because of her opinions, but she eventually seemed to drop her "you need to reconcile with your mother" crusade. During the wedding planning, there was no sign of trouble. But then we arrived at the church, and to our shock, our mom, her husband, and his two kids were sitting in the front. I immediately panicked and called my brothers. Sam thought maybe she had somehow found out about the wedding and decided to crash, so he called his fiancée to warn her. She calmly told him it was fine, because she had invited them. Sam hung up and asked me to take him home while our oldest brother stayed behind to handle things at the church. We went back, locked ourselves inside, and refused to come out, even when his ex, her family, and friends came to convince him otherwise. Mom's husband even called, saying he always knew we were worthless. Now that the dust has settled, most of Sam's friends and family are on his side. Our dad's ex-in-laws have already threatened to sue to get back the money they contributed to the wedding if Sam doesn't marry her. But Sam says he would rather pay them back than marry someone who betrayed him. Our immediate family completely supports him, but the backlash has been intense. Edit. You all reassured us so much. Thank you. Some of you asked, but no, she hasn't apologized. In fact, she went as far as texting my oldest brother, Joe, saying she thought inviting our mom was a good wedding present for Sam since she values family. For the real wedding gift, my dad bought them a house, but only Sam's name is on the deed. His ex did have keys when they moved in, but they just changed the locks today. Joe and some cousins are also moving everything Sam owns out of her apartment this week. We aren't worried about lawsuits, but we'll consult a lawyer just in case. We also heard Mom and her family are still in town, but since we're all staying at our childhood home for now, we don't care. My dad is heartbroken that Sam is in pain, but he's trying to lift his spirits with my boyfriend and sister-in-law's help. I had to deactivate all my social media because I kept getting hateful comments and messages, but as more people find out the real reason Sam walked away, the negativity is dying down. I still feel bad his ex felt humiliated, but my brother will always come first. Edit 2. I asked Joe about what happened after we left the church. It went about as I expected. He stood in front of everyone and announced that Sam wasn't coming, asked people to go home, and promised that any gifts delivered to our side of the family would be returned immediately. The ex was still outside when someone from her family told her. She broke down, screaming and crying, and started calling Sam over and over. Mom even tried to speak with Joe, but he didn't even look at her, and when she couldn't get a reaction, she started crying loudly and lamenting how horrible we are to her. Some people even began consoling her. This is her usual move, but Joe and his wife didn't care. When they walked out of the church, Sam's ex was waiting, demanding to see him. Joe refused. Then she insisted on knowing what to do about the reception, and he told her if she didn't want the venue, he'd arrange for the food to be donated to the staff so it wouldn't go to waste. Everyone was shouting except Joe, who kept calm because he didn't want to give Mom the satisfaction. Afterward, Joe and his wife stopped at the supermarket and some fast food places before coming home, where we've been holed up like kids again, but now with 2 more people. We asked Sam if he wanted them to leave, but he said he needed them there. We had already taken time off for family time after the wedding anyway, so it hasn't been a problem. When it became clear the ex wasn't going to use the venue, my sister-in-law called them with Sam's information and told them to take the food, even sending some tips for their trouble. It looks like we'll also get back all the alcohol my dad paid for, which means we're headed for a very drunk end of the year. A few people messaged me asking why our dad ever married our mom, and the truth is, he really loved her. He believed she was the kindest woman he'd ever met. Turns out she wasn't, but she knew no one else except maybe her awful husband would marry her unless she acted nice. Dad once considered staying until we were adults, but she kept getting worse. Sometimes she'd act sweet, making him think she was changing, but then she'd revert. As for Sam's ex, we're certain she genuinely believes Mom is a good person with ungrateful children. Mom can be extremely charming, and for some, mocking others is amusing as long as they're not the target. But that still doesn't excuse Sam's ex. The only person Sam explained things to was his boss, who had been at the church. His boss was very understanding and shocked at what our mom had put us through, especially since we've turned out to be fairly well-adjusted and happy people. Dad told us it was a shock for all of us, and assured Sam he can stay home as long as he needs. For now, Sam is moving back in. I showed my family this post, and they were touched by everyone's kindness. But Sam wants everyone to know his ex never showed concerning behavior before. He truly believed she understood his childhood. He agreed to talk with her and her parents today, but only at our home and with all of us there to support him. It's bound to be an interesting visit. Update on my runaway brother. First, some extra context. Sam lost some money, but it won't hurt him. Her parents covered her dress, a fancy cake, and part of the honeymoon. His ex wasn't the most beloved in-law, but we honestly thought she loved Sam. We have no contact with Mom's side of the family. Joe used to stay in touch with Grandma, but after his wedding, another complete disaster, he cut her off too. Those disturbing comments Mom made about me wanting to be his wife came from her belief that daddy-daughter days or outings were inappropriate. The thing is, there were also Daddy Joe days and Daddy Sam days. Dad always tried to spend one-on-one time with each of us, as well as together. She's just sick. We don't talk about our childhood much, so when people ask about our parents, we usually just say, my dad, or my siblings and my dad. Most people assume our mom is dead, and honestly, it saves us from explaining. Mom's stepkids are both men in their early 30s. Dad has a long-term girlfriend now, and we really like her. She's been doing her own thing these past few days, but told us she fully supports us. Now the update, I wondered why Sam agreed to meet after refusing to speak with her. Turns out she sent videos and photos of all his belongings thrown on the floor to his best friend Tom, threatening to burn or destroy everything if Sam didn't talk to her. Tom came over, and after Sam explained, they told her they needed access to the apartment before anything happened. So Tom, Joe, a couple of cousins, and my boyfriend went and collected Sam's clothes, electronics, and important papers. Sam said he didn't care about the rest and even cracked a little joke about them being the fastest moving crew. That's what he jokingly called them. He knew the meeting was, for lack of a better word, ridiculous. She arrived with her parents and sisters and tried to speak to Sam alone, but when he refused, she just started talking. Not once did she apologize. Instead, she claimed it wasn't her fault we didn't understand the value of a real family, that we were raised to hate mothers, and that her only intention was for Sam to learn to value them. She said she feared he would one day take her children away, because that's what he was taught to do. Sam stayed silent until she compared our family to a cult and turned to insult our dad, calling him a terrible father. As you can imagine, that struck a nerve. We never allow anyone to insult our dad. At that point, Sam unleashed. He called her a hateful liar and said he was disgusted he had ever touched even her hand. He said he was thankful I'm always chronically early because it gave him the chance to avoid marrying her. He told her staying with a cheating husband like her mother does is nothing to be proud of. He accused her of pretending to be kind just to trap him into marriage and poured out all the little things he had once overlooked because he believed he loved her, or at least the person he thought she was. He told her he would never forgive her for the pain she caused his siblings, but he didn't hate her, because hate requires energy and she wasn't worth it. In the end, he told her she'd had plenty of time to set things right, and since she had acted like a victim, he would be the one to explain to everyone why he didn't show up at the wedding. It was brutal, but cathartic and necessary for him. Her parents said nothing, though their faces turned red. She cried, and her sisters tried defending both her and their parents' marriage, expecting us to argue too, but we didn't. Then Sam told his ex's father he could sue if he wanted, but if he did, Sam would expose every bit of their family's dirty laundry to the world, and he doubted he wanted that. Shockingly, her dad still insisted Sam could make amends and marry her because they weren't getting any younger and all families fight. I don't think I've ever rolled my eyes harder. The rest of the meeting focused on logistics, returning wedding gifts, stopping harassment from their family, canceling and refunding the honeymoon, and changing the locks. His ex kept crying and trying to talk to him, but Sam stayed in business mode, completely detached. He only addressed her directly once, when she declared she was keeping the engagement ring, even though no one asked for it. They left without further incident. Later, when the alcohol delivery arrived, Mom and her husband tried sneaking in through the gate. When we opened it, she said she just wanted to talk to her baby boys. My dad asked her to leave, but she started screaming that he raised us wrong, that we embarrassed her, and that she couldn't believe we had turned into such bad people. She said we needed to reconcile because we clearly lacked maternal love. On that last point, she wasn't wrong, just not in the way she thought. Joe stepped outside and told her to leave because the police were on their way. She tried to twist it into an opportunity, crying and begging Joe, since it was the first time he'd spoken to her in over a decade, to go have dinner with her and her husband. Joe told her the only news he ever wanted to hear about her was the announcement of her funeral, so he could celebrate. That set off hysterical sobbing from her and furious shouting from her husband, who demanded an apology and even threatened to hit Joe. Dad and Joe went back inside, leaving them out there until we saw them leave. Then we locked the gate again. Some people struggle to understand why we react the way we do, but what I've written about our mother is only the tip of the iceberg. Dad wasn't exactly proud of Joe's words, but he knew he needed to release it, and he was speaking for all of us. Maybe that makes us bad people, but the truth is, we never want to see her again. We've already agreed to go to family therapy, in addition to our individual sessions. Sam says he doesn't even want the house anymore, but Dad told him to take it slow. The first step is healing his heart. In the meantime, we've been having horror movie marathons with some Disney classics sprinkled in, plus a game of drama bingo to joke about everything that could possibly happen next. Maybe we are dramatic, but we love each other and we're raised to treat people well, even after everything. We can be petty when pushed. Honestly, I feel better knowing she embarrassed herself, and while I wouldn't wish being left at the altar on anyone, I'd do it again because I love my brother more than I pity her. We'll take a family trip eventually, but for now, we're just continuing our staycation together. To the person who said Joe is a hero, you're right. His siblings couldn't ask for a better brother or friend. We've read all your messages, and thank you for letting me vent, for the awards, and for the DMs. Sorry if my English isn't perfect. Joe and Sam aren't their real names, but Daniela, go was yourself. A small note. My brothers are also reading your comments. They want you to know we realize how lucky we are, and they appreciate the support. They also want to say it gets better for those of you in the same situation. You're all welcome in our cult. Update 2. First, some clarifications. If you want to DM me, that's fine, even insults, but I'll only respond publicly. To the person who accused Joe of being parentified, he wasn't. My brothers spent time with me because they wanted to. We had special days together or one-on-one. They did activities they enjoyed, had plenty of friends, went on trips with or without me. We had nannies, family, and our dad. They were never forced to drag me along. They had a lot of freedom within reason. My parents divorced when I was 3, and though custody was shared, we spent 90% of our time with Dad. We never visited our mom unless at least 2 of us went together. The only times Joe or Sam visited her after turning 18 were when I was asked to go and they refused to let me go alone. We've all been in therapy for a long time, but right now we're doing extra sessions because we saw our mother again. Joe was the only one who actually interacted with her. Also know this, Sam and I both know how to defend ourselves. We never asked Joe to confront her. He chose to. Why didn't Dad go to the church with Joe? Because Sam asked him to go home. We didn't think he needed to see her again, even if he had to talk to her afterward. After all, Sam had just broken down crying. He's not a monster, he's heartbroken. He thought he'd spend his life with Daniela. He thought he was a good judge of character. He thought he'd never have to see our mother again. There are so many emotions, but because of our upbringing, we're good at keeping them in check around people we don't trust or like. It's a survival skill. Joe used to have a relationship with our grandma, but he cut contact after she brought our mom as her +1 to his wedding. There was no religious ceremony. The venue had security and a no-entry list. He sent Grandma a letter and never spoke to her again. We didn't attend her funeral either. The wedding had about 250 guests, and when Daniela was making the guest list and seating chart, she used other names. That's how she slipped our mom in without us knowing. Daniela isn't Brazilian, by the way, and my dad asked me to tell you all that his kids are not alcoholics. He's worried people will think that, even though this is anonymous, LOL. Anyway, this week has been pure chaos. Those of you who warned us about the pregnancy tactic were spot on. Daniela posted online claiming she was pregnant, which sent everyone into a frenzy. People kept calling Sam, not knowing what to believe anymore. Sam called her, asked her to delete it, but she doubled down. He told her to come talk in person. She deleted the post and agreed to meet him. Somehow, this woman convinced herself he wanted her back. I went with him. She was smiling until she saw me walk in. Then she burst into tears, clutching her stomach. When Sam asked if she was really pregnant, she said yes and told him she didn't want her child growing up in a broken family. Sam told her they were going straight to the doctor to confirm, and she screamed that he didn't trust her. Long story short, she isn't pregnant, but then she posted that Sam was forcing her to have an abortion and that she was devastated. As you can imagine, that was horrifying. People started calling again, completely confused by the non-stop drama. When my sister-in-law Anna saw the posts and heard about the meeting, she called Daniela. I don't know exactly what was said during that conversation, but I've never seen Anna so angry. The posts are down now, but she wrote an email with all the relevant information, making it clear Daniela was never pregnant, and sent it to everyone on the wedding list. This morning we heard Daniela had a breakdown after leaving voicemails saying if she couldn't be with Sam, she wanted to die. It was another tactic straight out of our mother's playbook. Sam simply called the police and reported it. Her family stepped in, forced her into therapy, and she's currently under observation. None of us take pleasure in this, but we also don't want to get involved anymore. We've already requested new phone numbers. Our mother emailed Anna, threatening to sue her for defamation over the email blast, but we aren't worried. Anna's parents are incredible. They've made it clear they're on our side and fully support how she handled it. Joe was furious, but Anna convinced him to let it go and just move forward. Mom's husband has been his usual charming self, sarcasm intended. Dad is considering a restraining order, though those don't hold much weight in our country. We had a big get-together at home yesterday, and it was wonderful. Karaoke, dancing, great food and drinks, games, even a bouncy house because why not? We had fun. Most people avoided bringing up the wedding and the posts, but when it did come up, everyone was respectful. Dad had already given away a lot of the alcohol to his employees. Each got to pick a bottle, and he's putting the rest into Christmas baskets this year. We'll be spending the holidays together and traveling afterward. I mentioned to Sam that the house had new paint, but he said he doesn't want to live there anymore. He plans to rent it instead. I joked about just eloping or skipping a proper wedding to avoid all this chaos, but Joe immediately told me, in no uncertain terms, that if I ever get married, I'll have the biggest party imaginable. He's still the best. Thank you all for the kind messages, comments, and awards, not the nasty ones. And sorry to the nice Danielas out there, that insult wasn't aimed at you. Holiday update. Thank you for the continued interest. You're always so kind, and it's a blast logging in and updating you all on our cult. A few points. Hi to the best sub in YouTube. You're officially part of the family lore now. I read every single comment and message. Some of you mentioned I lacked a female figure in my life, but I had my grandma and aunts. Dad's girlfriend Rita isn't a mother figure, but that doesn't mean I grew up to be a bad woman. When I first got my period and told my dad, he had everything prepared. Then he told my brothers, and each of them also made their own plans. without telling each other. So I basically had 3 different presentations on how to handle it. It might sound awkward for me, but trust me, it was even more awkward for them. Now it's a hilarious memory that reminds me how much they thought of me. Rita is amazing, and we love her. She's happy not being married to Dad, and he doesn't want to remarry. If he did, we'd support him fully. Daniela isn't doing well. Her sisters tried stirring up drama and accusing us of being cruel, but after Anna's email, no one is buying it. One of her sister's boyfriends even dumped her because he didn't want to be tied to such a toxic family. I won't share where we live or what Dad does for a living, so please stop asking. We have new numbers, new social media handles, and we're planning to move soon. Joe and I even made a little note with our fake real name connections. And yes, I type these posts out in Word first so I don't get lost in my rambling. Dad wants you all to know your cult applications have been accepted. I checked my last update and can't believe it was only early November. Time feels warped. But I have good updates. Sam is doing well. He's taking time off work, and his boss has been very supportive, telling him he can return whenever he's ready. He's still living with Dad and has his savings, so finances aren't a concern. He started running and even decided to train for a marathon next year. He's getting back to his goofy self and has been helping with home renovations, or in reality, Dad and Sam painting rooms and attempting murals. It's hilarious, and they've been having a lot of fun. Daniela tried writing Sam a letter, but he sent it right back. The house has officially been listed as a rental, and he's fine with that decision. As for me, I'm engaged. Turns out it's been in the works for months. When I joked about eloping, my fiancé Matt panicked, and that's how I found out. He had already spoken with Sam, who knew about the plan but didn't want to make him uncomfortable. Sam told him it would actually make him more uncomfortable if he didn't ask. Matt also talked to Joe and my dad. My dad made him sweat by saying it wasn't his hand to give, but apparently it was all in good fun. The proposal happened earlier this month, and I'm beyond excited, but not as much as my dad. He says he'll walk me down the aisle even if it's just a civil wedding. While my news is wonderful, I think the other big family news is even better. Joe and Anna had been on the adoption list for a while, and a couple of weeks ago they welcomed a baby girl. She is the most beautiful, sweetest baby ever. The adoption is final, as it usually is here with newborns or near newborns. We all knew Joe and Anna wanted to adopt, but when they told us the baby was officially theirs, there was so much crying, happy crying. Dad is in full grandpa mode, and even though this year has been rough, this is by far the best thing to happen to our family. As expected, our mother found out about the baby and demanded an introduction. She's been served our version of a protection order, and if we can help it, she'll never lay eyes on that child. Those were the only bad parts. Because of the pandemic, we decided to stay home instead of traveling. We did, however, have a Christmas/welcome baby/engagement party last weekend. Joe and Anna didn't attend in person because the baby is still too young, but they joined via Zoom. As a joke, we all gave Sam goofy gifts like t-shirts, mugs, and sweatshirts with Julia Roberts on them since, you know, he's the runaway bride of the family. Joe and I are still considering moving because we live in flats and both want houses. We're still shaken up from everything, and we know we have work to do, but the truth is we have so much to be grateful for. The negativity is in the minority, and no matter what happens, I'll always be thankful for my family. I think this will be the last update. I know the recent ones have been more drama-free and maybe not as exciting, but honestly, that's the goal. I won't delete anything. The account will stay up in case something worth updating happens. I wish all of you the best end of the year and an amazing 2022 catch-up. Hi Cult. For anyone still curious, here's what's been happening with us. To keep the rhythm going, a few points first. Yes, our native language is Spanish. Adoptions here are finalized by the government, and we almost never see situations like open adoptions. Joe and Anna had been waiting a while since they decided that's how they wanted to grow their family. When the adoption was announced, I said Habemus, like when the Pope is announced. It stuck. We're now 35, 33, and 29. For the record, HB was meant to mean husband, but I actually love the huge bastard interpretation. It works both ways. Joe and I did move last year as planned, and the year's been good overall. Just minor drama around Daniela, who by the way can still go cowed herself. Now for the not-so-great news. Daniela came back swinging in a way we didn't expect. She's pregnant and telling anyone who'll listen that Sam is the father. Unfortunately for her, it's literally impossible since Sam wasn't even in the country when the baby would have been conceived, but she didn't know that. Sam has offered multiple times to take a paternity test, but she refuses. He's safe legally, though he feels bad for the child. Daniela's father even tried to sue Sam for emotional distress on behalf of Daniela and her sister, the one whose boyfriend left her. Nothing came of it. Surprise! Joe is a lawyer, which turned out to be very relevant here. Sam chose not to retaliate. He feels pity for them and has too much on his plate. Meanwhile, our mother is still insisting on meeting the baby, which will never happen. And she's pulled out one of her favorite tactics again, claiming she has cancer. She contacted Joe and Anna got an email through work from our mother, begging her to help arrange a meeting with the baby because she was so sick and might need a transplant. This is like the 5th time she's claimed she has cancer, though in reality, she's had it exactly 0 times. She thrives on the attention, the pity, the drama, and all the mess it stirs up. Of course, none of us believed her. What we didn't expect was how foolish she'd make herself look when she tried pulling the same stunt with Anna's mom on Facebook. Anna's mom is a lovely, devout Catholic woman, so our mother probably assumed she'd be easy to manipulate. She messaged her about her cancer and how heartbroken she was not to meet the baby. Anna's mom asked a couple of basic questions about her diagnosis and treatment, which didn't make sense, as expected. Then she blocked her and posted screenshots on her wall. It turned into high school level drama, except with older adults, and honestly the comebacks were hilarious. Meanwhile, baby is thriving, happy, healthy, and beautiful. The only controversy has been what Rita should be called. Not from us, but from our mother, who insisted Rita had no right to be called Grandma. Joe and Anna sat down with Rita, and they all agreed. She's Grandma Rita. Our mother can scream all she wants. It doesn't matter. Sam is doing well too. He quit his job and started his own thing. He's still at the family home, renting out the other house, and he's kind of seeing someone. She's sweet, knows about all the history, bakes incredible cakes, and knits. We like her. They're taking it slow, but it's nice to see him with someone who treats him well. He's also still painting rooms with Dad, and the results are, let's just say, hilariously bad. Like kindergarten-level murals. But I love those two for trying. Dad caught COVID for the first time this year. It scared him so much he decided to update his will. That's where Joe's being a lawyer came in handy. They wanted Sam and me to know how everything was divided. The estate is split 4 ways between the 3 of us kids and any grandchildren, but the family home will not be divided. Instead, it's going to be put in my name soon. I was surprised, but Joe and Dad explained it was the right thing to do. Sam agreed and is happy with it. I suspect part of it is because I'm the youngest, but I'm okay with that. Joe also bought a house in the same neighborhood as the family home, so while we're not on the same block, we're still close by. Matt and I aren't buying now since I'll be inheriting the house, so we moved into the family place. It's been interesting but nice. Dad has started semi-retirement and spends more days at Rita's, so it works out for everyone. Sam will always have a place here if he wants, but sorry, those murals will eventually have to go. We're still engaged. Still happy, still loving babysitting, and still not pregnant. But we did get a cat in the spring. We're planning a December wedding and honestly couldn't ask for a better end to the year. So that's it. No big drama, just steady healing and moving forward. In case you're wondering why I'm posting now, one of us is a huge fan of best-of Redditor updates, and we were reminded of these posts. So, greetings from the cult, and we wish you all a wonderful end of 2022-2023. Catch up, hello Reddit. As tradition, we now have 2 cats. Sam moved in with his girlfriend, and we're thrilled to see him happy again. Dad has semi-moved in with Rita. It's bittersweet, but overall we remain positive and supportive of each other. Now for the bad news. It turns out there was cancer on our mother's side, just not hers. One of her stepchildren actually had it and passed away earlier this year. She's been milking it for all it's worth, and as usual, we're disgusted. While we empathize with the loss, we're not changing our no-contact stance with her or her family. Daniela had her baby, a very cute boy who, of course, isn't Sam's, not that we ever doubted it. She tried to make him acknowledge paternity and sign papers, but he refused. After the test confirmed what we already knew, there was nothing more she could do. She completely lost it when she found out Sam was serious, and even worse when he moved in with his girlfriend. Daniela still insists he's the one and remains fixated on him. She even tried to cyberbully his girlfriend, but this woman is made of steel. And yes, the actual father of Daniela's child is her married co-worker in his 50s. That whole mess is their problem, not ours. Sam has officially moved in with his girlfriend. He's still in therapy, like all of us, but doing so much better. His girlfriend is wonderful, deeply loved by the whole family, and she understands everything that's happened. She's integrated perfectly, and we honestly couldn't have asked for a better match for him. Sam is thriving in other areas too. He even ran his first marathon. Not the fastest time, but he did it, and that's what counts. Joe, Anna, and the baby are doing beautifully. They're still on the adoption list, since they'd love to welcome at least one more child. To explain again, in our country, adoptions aren't handled by agencies. You go through tests and interviews, and once you're approved, you're placed on a list. When a baby becomes available and there's a match, that child is yours, permanently, no drawn-out legal limbo. Our little one is the best baby ever. Yes, I'm biased, but we're also careful not to spoil her too much. She already hears no often enough. She has her own room at our place, a playpen at Sam's, and spends lots of time with Rita and Dad, who are basically living together now. They even took a couple of trips recently and love being hands-on grandparents. They joke they have 3 grandbabies now since the cats count 2. It's hilarious because my dad wasn't keen on cats at first. Now he takes tons of photos of both the baby and the cats, printing the best ones and bragging to his friends. Half the time his friends can't even tell if he's talking about the cats or the baby because he's so excited about everything they do. He also buys them all way too many toys, but apparently that's what a grandpa is supposed to do, LOL. As for us, Matt and I got married in December. My dad walked me down the aisle even though we did a lot of non-traditional things for our culture. Joe was Matt's best man, and Sam insisted on being my best maid. He even demanded to be called Julio throughout the entire wedding planning process. Mom tried to weasel in by approaching Anna's mom, but she shut that down quickly. Some of Mom's relatives claimed it was undignified to have Rita there instead of her, but honestly, I think it's disgusting to excuse Mom's actions. To each their own. We had a blast. No stress, no meltdowns, no scenes. Just joy. We've been remodeling parts of the family house so we're not still in my childhood bedroom, and it already feels more like our home. Life with the cult is good. Sam still gets Julia Roberts-themed gifts, though slightly fewer now. But he proudly wears his t-shirts all year long. And one last little thing. Sam's girlfriend has already approached us with the idea of proposing to him when the time feels right. So who knows? Maybe this time he'll actually make it to the altar.